Right now, as you watch this, something inside you is counting down. Not your heartbeat, not a clock, but a set of instructions written into your own cells that are quietly, patiently taking you apart. You think aging is just wear and tear, the slow rusting of a machine that has been running too long. It is not. A huge part of getting old is not your body failing. It is your body following a plan. The same evolution that spent millions of years building you, tuning your eyes and your brain and your immune system to keep you alive, at a certain point simply stops maintaining you on purpose and lets you fall apart. Evolution is not trying to keep you alive forever. In a very real sense, once you have done the one thing it built you for, evolution wants you dead. And that should stop you because your body is astonishing at repairing itself. Cut your skin and it knits back together. Break a bone and it rebuilds, often stronger. You replace your gut lining every few days, your skin every few weeks, billions of cells every single day, endlessly, for decades. Your body clearly knows how to fix and replace almost everything it is made of. So here's the question that this whole video is really about. If your body is this good at keeping itself new, then why does it stop? Why does the repair slow down and falter and finally quit until the same body that healed in days as a child cannot heal at all? The answer is not what you were taught in school. It is genuinely unsettling, and by the end, you will see your own aging as something that was done to you, on purpose. Let us go. Start with what aging actually is, because it is not one thing going wrong. It is everything going wrong at once, slowly. Your cells lose the ability to divide cleanly. The little power plants inside them leak and sputter. Proteins clump and stop folding right. Damage that used to get repaired overnight starts to sit there, uncollected, and pile up year after year. But here's the strange part. Every single one of those failures is something your body can already fix and does fix brilliantly when you are young. Aging is not your body forgetting how to repair itself. Aging is your body slowly being told to stop bothering. The machinery to stay young never fully disappears. It just gets switched down, quietly, deliberately, from the inside. Now, the story most people believe is the wear and tear story. A body is like a car. You drive it long enough, the parts grind down, and eventually it breaks. It feels obvious. But it is wrong, and it is easy to prove it is wrong. A car cannot grow a new engine. You do exactly that kind of thing constantly. A car does not heal its own scratches while you sleep. Your body repairs damage far worse than a scratch every day of your life. Living things are not passive machines wearing out. They are self-renewing, endlessly rebuilding themselves from food and energy. So the real mystery is not why a body wears down. It is why a body that can rebuild itself chooses, at some point, to let the damage win. And that choice is not an accident. It was selected for. So before we get into who wrote that choice into you, a question for the comments. And be honest. When did you first feel it? Not a birthday number, but the real moment. The morning your back ached for no reason. The night out that took 3 days to recover from. The first time your body did not simply bounce back the way it always had, and something in you quietly understood that the rules had changed. Drop it below, because that moment you are remembering is not you getting weak. It is a program switching on, right on schedule, and in a few minutes I am going to show you exactly what it is and why it exists. Here is the first hard truth, and everything else rests on it. Evolution does not care about you. It has never cared about you. The only thing natural selection ever measures is whether your genes get copied into the next generation. Your body, the whole magnificent thing, your mind, your memories, your face, is just the vehicle those genes built to carry themselves forward and then hand off. To evolution, you are a disposable container. Once the genes have been passed on, the container has done its single job, and nature spends nothing keeping a container in good repair after it has already been emptied. That sounds brutal, because it is. But it is also the key that unlocks the entire mystery of why you have to die. Because here is the consequence, and it is beautiful and cold at the same time. Imagine a gene that does something terrible to you, but only when you are 70 years old. In the harsh world our ancestors evolved in, almost nobody reached 70. A predator, a famine, an infection, an accident got them first. So that gene, the one that kills at 70, was almost never exposed to natural selection, because its carriers had already had their children and died of something else long before it could act. It was invisible. Now imagine a gene that harms you at 10 before you reproduce. That one gets ruthlessly wiped out every time because its carriers never pass it on. So evolution polices your youth like a hawk, and it lets your old age fill up, unchecked, with every late-acting flaw that ever appeared. Your later years are a dumping ground for genes that natural selection simply never bothered to read. So already, aging is not really a failure. It is the absence of a reason to keep you in good condition. The maintenance stops because after you have reproduced, there is no evolutionary payoff for the upkeep. But if that were the whole story, aging would just be gentle neglect, a slow letting go. It is worse than that, because evolution did not only stop maintaining you. In a lot of cases, it actively built the decline in, wired straight into the same genes that made you young and strong in the first place. That is the part almost nobody knows, and it is the real meaning of the title. Here it is. Many of the genes that are slowly killing you are the exact same genes that built you. Scientists call it antagonistic pleiotropy, and it is one of the most quietly disturbing ideas in all of biology. It means a single gene can do two opposite things: help you enormously when you are young and harm you badly when you are old. And evolution will keep that gene, gladly, every time, because the young benefit helps you reproduce, and the old cost lands years later when selection is no longer watching. The strong, fast-dividing cells that heal you as a child are the same cells that can turn into cancer at 60. The hormones that drive you to find a mate at 20 grind your body down at 70. You were not built to last and then worn out. You were built with the ending wired into the beginning. The knife that carves you is the same knife that kills you. If the idea that your own strengths were designed to become your undoing is new to you, subscribe, because that is what this whole channel is about. The moment where the thing you thought was a simple tragedy turns out to be cold, deliberate design. And stay with me, because once you see the trade-off, you start to notice it everywhere in your own body. Take the clearest example there is. Your cells cannot divide forever. Most of them can only copy themselves a limited number of times, and then they stop, permanently, a built-in counter ticking down every time they split. That sounds like a pure defect, a reason we fall apart. But flip it around. That very same limit is one of your strongest defenses against cancer, because a cell that can only divide so many times can only grow so far before it hits the wall and quits. So the break that protects you from tumors when you are young is the exact same break that stops your tissues from renewing when you are old. One mechanism, two faces. Keep it, and you age. Remove it, and you get cancer. Evolution chose aging because a body that ages slowly will still, at least, live long enough to breed. And we know this is written in the genes, not just the miles, because we can change the speed. There are rare children born with a single broken gene who age at terrifying speed, wrinkling and graying and suffering the diseases of the elderly while they are still small. Their bodies are not more worn out than other children's. One instruction is simply wrong, and it runs the aging program fast. And in the other direction, in the lab, scientists can take simple animals and, by tweaking single genes, double or triple how long they live. If aging were just wear and tear, you could not double a lifespan by editing one gene. The fact that you can tells you the truth. Aging has a control panel, and evolution set the dials. And you can see the deal it struck most clearly in one grim pattern, the trade-off between breeding and living. Across the living world, the animals that reproduce hard and fast tend to burn out young, and the ones that breed slowly tend to live long. It even shows up in us. In historical records, men who were castrated early in life, losing the hormones that drive reproduction, lived on average significantly longer than other men. Sterilized animals, again and again, outlive the ones left intact. The message underneath is always the same and always chilling. Reproduction is expensive, and your body will happily spend your future to pay for it. The drive that makes life is quietly wired to the thing that ends it. And underneath that deal is a simple, ruthless piece of accounting. Every scrap of energy you take in has to be split between two jobs, keeping your body repaired and making the next generation. Every calorie spent on flawless self-maintenance is a calorie not spent on finding a mate and raising young. And in the dangerous world we evolved in, where a predator or a sickness could end you at any moment, pouring resources into a body that probably would not survive the year anyway was a losing bet. So evolution settled on a chilling compromise. Repair the body just well enough to stay alive and breed, and no better. Build it to last about as long as a wildlife usually lasts, and not one day longer. You were engineered, deliberately, to be good enough to reproduce and then to fall apart. That is not a malfunction. That is the budget, balanced exactly the way survival demanded. So here's the second question, and I really want your honest answer. If you were offered it, right now, a body that never aged, that stayed exactly as it is today for as long as you wanted, would you take it? Most people say yes instantly, and then something makes them hesitate. Sit with that hesitation for a second, because it is telling you something real about what death actually is, and whether a life without an ending would even be the gift it sounds like. Tell me below, yes or no, no overthinking, and then let me show you the animals that already got the deal you are dreaming of. Because a few animals barely play by these rules at all, and they are astonishing. Naked mole rats, wrinkled little underground rodents, almost never get cancer and show almost no rise in their chance of dying as they get older, staying strong and fertile at an age when an ordinary mouse is long dead. Lobsters keep growing, staying fertile and vigorous as they age, showing little of the decline we treat as inevitable. And the hydra, a tiny freshwater creature, renews its body so completely and so constantly that under good conditions, it shows essentially no aging at all and may be as close to biologically immortal as a living thing can get. So death by aging is not a law of the universe. It is a setting. And in some animals, that setting is turned almost all the way off. And one creature goes further and cheats death outright. There is a jellyfish, barely bigger than a fingernail, that when it is starving, injured, or old, does something impossible. It reverts. Its adult cells transform back into a younger stage, and it grows up all over again, a loop it can run, in principle, forever. It is the closest thing to true immortality we have ever found. So why can we not do it? Because that jellyfish is almost nothing, a simple bag of cells with no brain to preserve, no memories, no self. The price of running that trick is giving up everything complex about you. You cannot melt your body down and regrow it and still be you. Our kind of life, the kind with a mind, seems to come with a mortality built into the deal. And once you see aging as a dial rather than a law, the record of what is possible becomes genuinely staggering. Off the coast of Greenland swims a shark that can live for over 400 years. Sharks alive today that were born before the telescope was invented. There are bowhead whales that pass 2 centuries. There are deep-sea creatures and clams that count their years in the hundreds, and trees quietly alive for thousands. These are not magic. They are just animals whose evolutionary maths came out differently, who lived in a world safe enough or slow enough that building a longer-lasting body finally paid off. Long life is not forbidden by biology. It is simply expensive, and most species, including ours, were never in a position where nature was willing to pay for it. But here's where we, the weird ape, break our own rules, and it is the twist this channel keeps finding. By the cold logic of evolution, you should fall apart the moment you stop reproducing. Almost every animal does exactly that. It breeds until the end and then it dies. Humans do something almost unheard of. We live for decades after we can have children, healthy, useful, sharp. And evolution, which wastes nothing, would only allow that if those extra years somehow helped our genes survive anyway. They did. The answer is called the grandmother hypothesis, and it rewrites what old age is even for. Think about menopause, because it is genuinely bizarre. In almost the entire animal kingdom, females stay fertile until they die. Only a tiny handful of species, us and a few whales, do this strange thing where the females stop reproducing halfway through life and then keep on living for decades. Evolution does not build something that costly by accident. The reason appears to be that an older woman could do more for her genes by stopping and pouring her energy into keeping her children's children alive than by risking a dangerous late birth of her own. A grandmother who gathers food, carries knowledge, and helps raise the young is a survival machine for her whole bloodline. Human old age is not leftover time. It was selected for. We are the species that made the elderly useful. And that flips the darkest part of all of this into something stranger. Death, from evolution's point of view, is not a failure it is trying to fix. It is a feature it depends on. A world where nothing ever died would be a world where nothing new could ever get enough room, food, or space to live. The old must clear the stage for the young, because the young carry the new combinations, the fresh mutations, the next experiments that let a species keep changing as the world changes. Death is the price of a species being able to adapt at all. Every one of your ancestors died so that the line could keep moving. Your own ending is not a bug in the design. It is one of the things that made the design possible. And this is why the modern world feels the way it does. For almost all of human history, the harsh outside world killed people long before the aging program finished its work. Your body was shaped by pressures that assumed you would be gone by 40. Then, in a blink, we invented medicine, clean water, and full bellies, and we started living to 80 and beyond, marching straight into the deep, unmaintained territory that evolution never tuned us for. The diseases we fear most, the failing heart, the fading mind, the cancers, are largely what it looks like when a body designed for a short life is forced to keep running far past its warranty. We did not cure aging. We just live long enough now to fully meet it, and one part of that betrayal is quietly at the center of almost everything that goes wrong late in life. The same immune system that spent your youth defending you, hunting infections, healing wounds, killing rogue cells, slowly slips into a state of low, constant, smoldering inflammation as you age. Scientists have a name for it, inflammaging, and it may be one of the deepest engines of old age disease. The heart disease, the failing brain, the stiff joints, the cancers, all share this same background fire, a defense system that no longer switches cleanly off and begins gently to burn down the very body it was built to protect. The guard that kept you alive becomes with time one of the things taking you apart. It is the trade-off again, written into your own immunity. Which brings us to the honest part, because there is an entire industry that wants you to believe this is easily fixed, and it is mostly selling you hope. Walk into any shop and you are promised the reversal of aging in a bottle. Anti-aging supplements sold by the billion, with almost none shown to make a healthy person live meaningfully longer. Detox cleanses for a body that already has a liver and kidneys doing the job for free. Miracle antioxidants whose grand promises have quietly collapsed in careful trials, some even doing harm. Aging is not one lock that one pill can open. It is thousands of processes failing at once, wired into your deepest biology, and no serum on a shelf is quietly undoing all of it while the rest of science somehow missed it. So what actually helps, honestly? Nothing exotic and nothing you can buy in a jar. The dull, unsexy things, moving your body, sleeping enough, not overeating, not poisoning yourself, staying connected to other people. These do not stop aging and they will not make you immortal, but they can genuinely change how well you spend the years you have and how long you hold on to the good ones. The real goal was never to live forever. It is to push the decline back, to stay yourself for as much of your life as you can. Anyone promising you more than that, out of a bottle, is selling you a story that your own biology has already contradicted. But not everyone is selling a bottle. Some of the richest people who have ever lived are now pouring fortunes into genuinely trying to defeat aging, funding serious science to reprogram old cells, clear out the worn ones, or reset the body's clock. And some of it is real, careful work that may one day push human lifespan further than we think. But here's the honest tension. Even if it works, aging is the most deeply wired program in all of biology, evolution's oldest and most stubborn setting. And unpicking it may mean unpicking the very things that keep cancer in check, that keep you you. And there is a darker question underneath. If death ever does become optional, who gets to buy the escape? And what happens to a world where the powerful simply never leave? Curing death might not be a gift to humanity. It might be the widest gap we have ever torn between those who can afford it and everyone else. And maybe now you can understand why death feels so uniquely, unbearably wrong to us, when the rest of nature seems to meet it without protest. It is because we are the animal that can see it coming. We carry that same disposable body as every other creature, wired with the same shutdown, but we alone got the brain to understand what the shutdown means, to name it, to fear it years in advance, to lie awake over it. Evolution handed us a mind big enough to grasp our own mortality and then left us with no way to escape it. That gap between knowing and being unable to stop it is the most human place there is. But sit with the other side of it for a moment, because it may be the most important thing here. Everything you have ever found beautiful is beautiful partly because it does not last. A sunset means something because it is ending. A moment with someone you love has weight because you both know the clock is running. Imagine a life with no ending at all, stretching out forever, every experience repeatable an infinite number of times. It is not obvious that such a life would feel precious. It might feel like nothing at all. Scarcity is what creates value, and time is the one thing you can never make more of, which is exactly why an hour of it can be the most valuable thing you ever give another person. The same deadline that terrifies you is the thing that makes a single, ordinary afternoon matter. Death is not only what evolution did to you, it is, strangely, part of what gives your life its edge. And that lands us right back on the pattern this whole channel keeps uncovering. We are the weird ape, the one that takes cold biology and lives it as if it were fate. You think a kiss is romance, and it is a chemical test. You think you chose to love a drink and you were born craving it. You think your dog chose you, and the wolves chose our fire. And now you think your own aging is just bad luck and worn-out parts, and it turns out to be a program wired in on purpose, running exactly as designed. Every single time, the thing that feels like your private story turns out to be ancient machinery, moving underneath you. And here's the twist, the one that is somehow darker and gentler at once. When I say evolution wants you dead, I do not mean it hates you. It is so much stranger than that. Evolution does not want anything. It simply stopped writing your story the moment you had passed your genes on. And everything after that, the wrinkles, the aches, the failing, is what it looks like when a process that was pouring all its care into keeping you alive quietly turns its attention away. You are not being punished. You are being forgotten by the very force that built you, cell by cell, and left the rest to chance. That is colder than hatred, and somehow easier to forgive. So the next time you find a gray hair, or feel the ache that was not there last year, or watch someone you love get older, remember what you are really seeing. It is not a machine wearing out. It is the most ancient program of all, doing exactly what it was shaped to do, letting go of a body whose one great task is finished. You were built to burn bright, pass the flame, and then step aside, and every human who ever lived did precisely that so that you could be here at all. The people you come from did not fail to live forever. They were never meant to. They handed on the flame, exactly as designed, and the fact that you are breathing right now is the proof that the design worked. Your ending is not a flaw in you. It is the oldest inheritance there is, and you have been carrying it since before you were born. So tell me in the comments, does knowing this make death easier to face or harder? And would you truly take the immortality if it were real? I genuinely want to know where you land. If you made it all the way here, hit like and subscribe, because we are not close to finished pulling apart the strange machinery your body runs without ever asking you. Next time, we go after the one that nobody says out loud. There is a reason men cannot look away from one part of the human body, a part no other animal on Earth has in the same way, and the real explanation is far stranger than anyone admits. That is the next video. I will see you there.